Hey, here we are. The day's come for us to show you our 1983 Haro Freestyler. For those that saw us or saw the video that we did down at Southsea last April 2023, we did a video with this comparing it to the new reissue Bob Haro 40th anniversary bike. But this is that bike basically. You can refer back to that video. It's a bike that we bought in complete state a few years ago, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, something like that. And it was typical of what people would do in the day. Obviously the person that had it had already had a complete bike and bought the Haro frame and fork set. And think back in those days, buying the frame and the fork wasn't always common. Sometimes you bought the frame and you buy the fork separately. But he or she had taken their existing bike, swapped the components over. So it had some fairly low-endish components on it. It had a one-piece crank. People couldn't afford three-piece crank back then, they were so expensive. A lot of the bits that we've kept, but we've just upgraded a couple of things in the meanwhile. The main thing was we switched it out to black original style hubbed Tough 2 wheels. It had yellow on it originally, which were okay, but aesthetically it just looks better obviously with the black. The tyres are the ones that came on the original bike, and everything else is. The grips are new. They just started to, I think they'd been replaced by something. Yeah, they haven't gone, they just got replaced by something new, which wasn't right. So we put some Amy Rounds on there, these are the new ones. And then we had I don't know if you saw it a few years ago, we had a yellow GT race bike come in that was 100% Survivor, apart from grips. We ended up rebuilding it, selling it on. And these are actually this is the whole crank setup, drivetrain setup from that bike. So these are original 1980s profile box cranks with the original bottom bracket, profile Spider. It's called the Retro Spider then, it was just called the Spider back then. And we sold very few profile cranks. We now know that 19mm 48 spline system is standardized for BMX, but back then, if anybody wanted a three-piece crank, it was Redline Flights. But obviously we know that the profile now that the profile technology was better. Shimano DX pedals, end cap messing on this side, on both sides. But you can get reproduction 3D printed one of these really easy if you wanted to do that. I think we have got a set somewhere, but we just didn't want to add those on. When you've got a bike like this, which is all Survivor, you start adding a couple of new parts on it. I mean, obviously you're stuck with rubber, aren't you? You know, you have to do that, but once you start to put a few new parts on it, it starts to look incongruous, doesn't it? So we tried to keep it as much as we could Survivor. The only other thing that we've done to it is we fitted it's a modern KMC chain, and it's coaster brake obviously. So really, and also Adam here serviced the headset, and obviously seal bearings in the crank, so they're all really nice. So we put new tubes in too, and obviously inflated the tyres. So really, apart from the chain, the grips and the inner tubes, it's all good. It's all good to go. I think when we did that video at Southsea, I was thinking this was a freewheel, but it's not. It's a coaster brake, obviously, which is again what everyone would have run on these back in the day. But there's some nice touches. Original MX-1000 brakes, Tech 3 levers. These UK Powerglide Thunderbolt Bob Haro signature cables, incredibly rare. There were a glut of fronts knocking about a few years ago, but they've all dried up now, and rears are ultra rare. But you'll see, you know, it's got this really cool sort of like reflective print on them. And a couple of other things which are UK based is the Alloy Renthal seat post and Renthal handlebars. And these are the same company that make high-end aftermarket motorcycle handlebars nowadays, and these are the first bars that they did. The rest of the components, actually, whoever built it originally used a Suntour. It's a Suntour mini stem. It's a one-piece aluminium stem. I think it was called the MS-1200. But it actually works really well for this. I think there probably was a weight limit on it back in the day, but if you're using this predominantly for perhaps ground tricks, or what we would call flatland nowadays, that would work really well. And it's got, as you can see, a really short reach, so it would make the bike for ground tricks work really well. So yeah, it's a Gen 2, so it's the second generation of the Haro Freestyler frame sets made by Torca. This one was made in December 1983 according to the frame number, and it was made at the Torca's facility on West Commonwealth in Fullerton, California. And as we know, as we got into 1984, Bob went to the Far East, and there you go, moved the production away from Torca, and that was a contributing factor to their untimely demise back in the day. So yeah, it's all set up, ready to ride. If you were going to ride it, the only thing that I would probably suggest is switching out the tyres for some new ones. We've got Panarace HP 406s, for example, which would look great on here. Or you could put the Haro HPF tyres on, just as a rider. But these white wall tyres here were kind of like the thing that we used before specific freestyle tyres came about. So there you go. Yeah, that's our 1983 Gen 2 Haro Freestyler. It's on the website now. We do ship worldwide on these things, so if you go to checkout, it'll tell you what the shipping rate is. And we do actually ship free to selected European countries at the moment for anything over €300. So this would come into that free shipping category. Again, check the website for that. Any questions, put a note down in the comments or shoot us an email. Do our best to answer them. Thanks for watching.